Okay, Divine Diva, we need to have a chat because I see people out here acting like the 3D is some low vibe, bottom tier struggle bus realm, while the 5D is some exclusive VIP section where only the enlightened get to ship champagne with the angels. Let's cut that shit out. Look, 3D is not bad. The 5D is not better. They're just different densities, different frequencies, different parts of the experience that your soul chose. Yes, you chose this. If you're listening to this, it means that you chose to anchor in the light and be a part of this ascension, not because you're better, not because you're more evolved, but because you literally raised your hand and said, I want to be the boots on the ground for this massive planetary shift. So let's talk about it. Why did your soul choose this? Why some people are fully in their 3D experience and they need to be? Why judgment keeps you shackled to the very thing you think you're above? And how moving to love and acceptance is the actual key to the 5D embodiment. So, first of all, what's actually happening? 3D and 5D are not places, not yet. We'll talk about that sometime in the future. But you are not going to the 5D like it's a resort that you booked your trip to. These are densities. And the density, how energy moves through space and time, 3D is slower, denser, physical based reality. 5D is faster, fluid, instant creation reality, higher frequency. In the 3D, things take time. In the 3D, actions have delayed consequences. In the 3D, you working through karma, duality, linear experiences. And remember, karma isn't bad. It just means things that maybe repeating lessons you get to learn, blah, blah, blah. Okay. 5D is where creation happens instantly. You move beyond fear and control. Love and unity consciousness leads. But here's the thing. You don't just jump from 3D to 5D. You don't just skip the 3D work and just vibe your way to the new reality. And you don't get to judge people who are still in their 3D experiences, because some of y'all are out here talking about high vibration only and still getting mad at people on the internet. That is 3D experience. Now, the key to holding like the 5D is the intention, right? You have the intention to work through your things. You have the intention to raise your frequency, and that intention is enough. It truly is. But 5D energy is neutrality, acceptance, non-judgment, which brings me to my next point. Some people are meant to be in the 3D, and that's okay. There are souls on this planet who are here to be in the 3D. And because their souls needed to have these lessons. Some people are here to really experience duality. They're here to clear past life karma. They're here to play out old cycles that didn't get resolved in previous incarnations or current existing incarnations. We all know past, present, and future, all of it's happening at the same time. And you know what? It's not your business. Let's be honest. What if the fascists of the 40s came back in bodies of the people that they once persecuted to heal that karma? What if some of the loudest MAGA voices are souls who needed to experience the very oppression that they created? Y'all, it's literally the fuck around and find out lifetime. It's where karma's getting reconciled and people are waking up to their own soul's journey. It's where people are now learning their lessons that maybe you have figured out lifetimes ago, but it's not your job to fix them. They're not broken. It's your job to hold the frequency, to anchor the light, to be the lighthouse, not the Coast Guard. I'm going to say that again. It is your job to hold the frequency, anchor in the light, being the lighthouse, not the Coast Guard. You're not the energy police. And so let's talk about the elitism, the spiritual elitism, and the people that think they're above the 3D people. The people that are like, I just don't do 3D. I don't engage with that low vibe stuff. Ma'am, you literally are still paying taxes and using Wi Fi. You are engaged into this. The people are like, oh, I don't talk politics. That's so 3D. I'm so much above it. It's not about talking politics, it's about being a part of these moments and using your light to be the lighthouse. The moment you say I'm above the 3D is the moment you're stuck in it. Why? Because the second you think you're better than someone else, the second you start judging people still in 3D lessons, boom, you're anchored right back into separation consciousness. And let me remind you, 5D is unity consciousness, it is oneness, it is full acceptance. You can't be out here judging people and calling it enlightenment. And if you are here to be an ascension anchor or a light worker or a star seed leader, you are not here to judge. You are here to hold the light while people experience what they experience. Because at the end of the day, people are going to wake up when their soul is ready. Your job is to keep being the example. Acceptance is the true key to 5D. And if you really, really want to shift into 5D embodiment, if you really want to hold this frequency and stop getting yanked back into 3D distractions, you need to master acceptance. Acceptance of yourself, acceptance of others, acceptance of people who are in completely different experiences than you. Because when you fully accept that people are exactly where they need to be, you become unshakable. But when you try to control how other people evolve, that links you back to 3D consciousness. You gotta stop trying to control others. You've gotta stop getting emotionally hooked up by 3D nonsense. You've gotta stop your need to fix or save everyone. Because that is when you really start. When you stop doing that, you start living in the 5D. It's not when you're 5D, like high vibe all the time. It's not when you're saying you're above 3D, but it's when you can look at everything happening and say it all has a purpose. It's all unfolding perfectly. I choose to hold my frequency here regardless. It is in my power. It's important for you when we think of acceptance. Acceptance is one of my superpowers. It's something that I bring into my reality in a powerful way. And what is super, super important is when you can really tap into acceptance and allow others to show up the way they do and not let that stop how much you love them. You are operating from 5D consciousness. So I had a client and she was really experiencing some feelings that didn't feel so good because she was watching some other people that had voted against maybe her rights and that had done some things, but now they were being affected by it and they were like, oh my God, I now get it and I'm so sorry. And she just did not want to accept the apology, did not want to like ride with these people. She really was, I'm only staying on this side, not the other side. And I told her, I said, you doing that makes you no better than anyone else. It just creates more separation and locks you into that other frequency. And she thought about it and she was like, oh my God, I used to do the same thing, like right after 2020 with the whole George Floyd thing. I really was so angry, understandably so, right? No judgment there, understandably freaking so. And she was like, I used to like judge them and just be like, you don't understand, and da 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 da, and really wanted to rage against them. But then she said this rage felt so bad, like it didn't align with who she was. And she was like, I can't do that anymore. And I was like, nope. And she's like, so I've got to love MAGA, right? I've got to love anyone that's opposite of my thoughts. So even if you are MAGA listening to this, and you've got to love maybe the liberals that you don't think you want to love, you've got to love everybody. It's not loving what they do, it's loving who they are. Like loving who they are at their core, which is God, just like you are God. God, frequency, divinity, divinity in a body. When you can look at someone through the eyes of your higher self, of God, God frequency, then you aren't hating on anyone. You see that they chose this in this lifetime, and there's so much that they get to learn. When you start looking at this, and you can look at it from the lens of observation, all the craziness that's going out, and don't observe, don't go and like engage and be in it. You don't have to. Most of you have shifted so much that you feel like, oh my God, I feel like this is happening outside of me. I feel like I'm living in a totally different like frequency. You are. And that's okay. That's what you were meant to do, because you were meant to be the lighthouse, so that when somebody who is shifting looks for a light and they're like, I need to come to shore, oh, that's the lighthouse. That's why spiritual leaders, ascension anchors, light workers are the new celebrities. People will be looking at you, at your light, and being like, how is she doing this? How is she holding this frequency? And that is the way when you get to share how you're doing it. But if you are in the judging them and hating them, they're going to feel that separation, and they are not going to feel welcome to have a conversation with you, and they're not going to feel welcome to shift and be like, oh my God, thank you for talking to me like I'm a regular human, and not looking at me as if I just killed your cat or your dog. Like, I'm sorry, I figured it out. Thank you so much for being the lighthouse. This is what you've been called to do. So 3D and 5D are not like, you're not above it all. You've got to look at it from acceptance, from love. And if you need help doing that, I've created spaces where we get to rise together. Divinity House, for the established lightworker, the spiritual entrepreneur who's stepping into more visibility, more leadership, more impact, right? The you who's ready to hold more power at the highest level and be the ascension anchor for hundreds of thousands of people. Divinity House is for you. Check the show notes. There's a link. You'll get more information about it. Join us. La Lumiere, the Divine Diva Circle. It is for you. If you are ready to like navigate through this at deeper, all this stuff that I'm talking about, let's go deeper. You move through these lessons. It is the perfect membership and circle where you have a community and where you learn through audios, 3 a week, about ascension, about expansion, about navigating the shift, how to go through triggers, how to, what somatic things to do to move things out of your body, how to do the quantum healing method, which ways I'm using this. You get to learn all of this. And if you're a founding member, it's $44 a month. But once we launch, it's $144 a month. And if you're listening to this after the founding member special, email podcast@alignedsoul.com to ask about the current podcast special. Okay? And then you have this space. You have the bougie healed diva, me, coming into this podcast on nearly a daily basis, sharing with you lessons, how to move through these things with ease, full divine diva energy and what that looks like. We're deep diving into the 3D, 5D ascension. Like, this is a place where we get to rise together. And we are just getting started. Give this podcast 5-star review. Share it with your friends. Take a picture of you watching this. Share it on your Instagram. Tag me at i.am.thealignedsoul and tell me what you've learned from it. I will share it. If you like, just message me and share with me in my DMs what you're learning from this. Send an email to podcast@alignedsoul.com and tell me what topics you want to learn more about. I love doing that. Give me what your Instagram handle is, and I will mention you on the podcast and answer your question or talk about that topic. It'll be less of a direct answer, but I will be answering it for the bigger community. If you want questions answered, there's Q&As and things like that in Divinity House seats. And then the membership will be expanding, right? We'll have Q&As, things like that, where I answer your specific questions. La Lumière, the Divine Diva Circle. So, on that note, again, we rise together. We're just getting started. Hugs, kisses, and all of the feels. Stay bougie, be healed, and keep it divine.